Inside Islamabad, the secret Iran-US nuclear talks exposed. One city, two enemies, 21 hours of negotiations the world was never supposed to fully understand. No cameras inside the room, no live feeds, no transparency, just whispered messages carried between delegations by Pakistani diplomats moving quietly through closed corridors. And when it was finally over, both sides walked out claiming they had won. Both sides pointed fingers. Both sides told completely different stories about the exact same 21 hours. So who is telling the truth? What actually happened inside those rooms? And why does the answer matter to every single person on this planet? And in the next 10 minutes, you'll find out exactly why. To understand Islamabad, you first need to understand the wound that never healed. In 1979, Iranian students storm the US embassy in Tehran. They hold 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. The world watches in disbelief. When it finally ends, so does everything else. Diplomatic relations between Iran and the United States are severed, completely, permanently. That was 1980, over 4 decades ago. Since then, the two nations have never spoken directly. Every conversation happens through middlemen, back channels, and carefully worded statements designed to say everything while committing to nothing. In 2015, something extraordinary happens. 6 world powers, including the US, sign the JCPOA with Iran, a nuclear deal. Iran agrees to limit uranium enrichment. The world agrees to lift crippling sanctions. For one brief moment, a door opens. Then, in 2018, the United States walks through that door and slams it shut behind them. Washington withdraws from the JCPOA. Sanctions return, harder than before. Iran's economy contracts sharply. Inflation spirals. The currency collapses. Ordinary Iranians feel it first and feel it worst. Iran responds by accelerating its nuclear program. Enrichment levels climb. International inspectors find themselves increasingly frozen out. The gap between the two nations, already enormous, grows into something that looks less like a diplomatic problem and more like a countdown. That countdown brings us to Islamabad. Pakistan does not stumble into this role by accident. It is chosen deliberately, carefully, and for very specific reasons. Pakistan is a Muslim-majority nuclear state, with working relationships on both sides of this divide. It has historical ties to the Arab and Persian worlds. It maintains functional, if complicated, connections with Washington. It is one of the very few nations on Earth that both Iran and the United States are willing to trust, even partially, as a messenger. Islamabad becomes the venue, and for a few extraordinary hours it becomes the most important city in the world. The Iranian delegation arrives carrying a 10-point proposal, 10 demands. And these are not small, polite requests. They are structural, they are sweeping. They are the kind of demands you bring to a table when you believe, genuinely believe, that you hold leverage. The Strait of Hormuz sits at the top of the list. This narrow waterway between Iran and Oman is only 21 miles wide at its tightest point. But through it flows nearly 20% of the entire world's oil supply. Every tanker, every barrel, every energy-dependent economy on Earth depends on that strait remaining open. Iran knows this, and Iran is not afraid to say so. War reparations appear next on the list. Tehran is essentially asking Washington to pay for damage done to Iranian infrastructure, to Iranian military assets, to the Iranian economy. To the American delegation, this demand lands like a stone thrown through a window. Full sanctions relief. A permanent end to hostilities. Not a ceasefire, not a pause, but a complete, verified, binding conclusion to what Iran describes as a war waged against it. And underneath all of it, the nuclear question. The one that started everything, the one that has no easy answer, but then everything changes. The American delegation, led by Vice President J.D. Vance, arrives with a posture that is equally unmovable. From Washington's perspective, the military balance has already shifted decisively. Iran's enrichment facilities have been destroyed. Its naval capabilities have been degraded. Its air defense systems have been dismantled. Its regional network of allied forces has been weakened. The US does not believe it is offering a compromise. It believes it is offering a way out. Vance's core demand is singular and non-negotiable. Iran must make one affirmative commitment, not a temporary agreement, not a 2-year pledge, a permanent, verifiable, long-term declaration that the Islamic Republic will never pursue nuclear weapons and will never develop the technical tools needed to build one quickly. No one sees this coming, but by hour 12, the Pakistani mediators are no longer carrying messages of progress. They are carrying messages of entrenchment. Both sides are talking. Neither side is moving. The gap between them is not narrowing. It is calcifying. An Iranian source, speaking anonymously near the negotiation venue, delivers a charge that electrifies the diplomatic world. Washington, this source claims, did not come to Islamabad to make peace. It came to recover its damaged international reputation, to appear reasonable while avoiding any real concession. That accusation hangs over the room like a storm cloud that never breaks. Hour 21 arrives like a verdict. The Pakistani hosts have done everything possible. Every diplomatic tool deployed, every conversation extended, every potential bridge explored and found wanting. The exhaustion in the building is not just physical, it is something deeper. Vance has been in contact with President Trump throughout the night, not once, not twice, by his own account, a dozen times or more. Every major decision cleared through the Oval Office in real time. The full machinery of American executive power present in Islamabad through a phone screen pressed against a diplomat's ear. And the answer, every single time, is the same. Hold the line. No deal without the commitment. Vance steps in front of the cameras. His voice is steady. His language is precise. "We have not reached an agreement," he says. "That is bad news for Iran much more than it is bad news for the United States of America." He thanks Pakistan's Prime Minister and Army Chief, warmly, specifically, by name. He calls them incredible hosts. The courtesy is genuine, but the message beneath it is titanium. The US presented its final offer, its best offer, and Iran said no. Thousands of miles away, President Trump speaks from Washington. His framing is total and absolute. "The United States has already won," he says. "The Navy defeated, the Air Force defeated, the radar systems gone, the leadership eliminated. The Strait of Hormuz, which America does not even depend on, will be opened for the benefit of the world. We defeated their Navy. We defeated their Air Force. We defeated their radar." Every sentence a hammer strike. Every word designed to project invincibility. But one question cuts through all of it like a blade. If victory is already complete, why negotiate at all? Why fly to Islamabad? Why sit for 21 hours? Why call the president a dozen times across a sleepless night? Victory does not need a negotiating table. That contradiction is the most revealing thing about this entire moment, and neither side has an answer for it. On the Iranian side, the deputy foreign minister steps forward. His message mirrors Vance's in its firmness, but inhabits a completely different universe in its framing. "Iran is serious," he says. "Iran is prepared, for diplomacy and for defense." The composition of the delegation itself, he argues, proves the seriousness of Tehran's intent. A senior branch head sitting across the table does not happen by accident. Two delegations, one exhausted city, completely irreconcilable versions of 21 hours that both sides lived through together. The talks end, the planes take off, the world exhales, and then starts asking what comes next. Pakistan walks away from this moment with something real. It hosted two nuclear-era adversaries at the same table for nearly a full day. In a region defined by broken alliances and proxy warfare, that is not nothing. That is a demonstration of strategic relevance that Islamabad will not forget, and that Washington and Tehran will both remember the next time they need a quiet room. The Strait of Hormuz stays in the headlines. It does not go away simply because talks collapsed. 20% of global oil still flows through 21 miles of contested water. Energy markets in Europe, East Asia, and beyond are watching every development with the kind of attention usually reserved for emergencies. And the nuclear question, the original wound, remains completely open. Iran's enrichment facilities are destroyed, but facilities can be rebuilt. Equipment can be replaced. What cannot be destroyed is knowledge. The engineers still exist. The physicists still exist. The institutional understanding of how to build a nuclear program lives inside human minds that no bomb can reach. The world has not solved the Iran nuclear problem. It has paused it. Pauses are not solutions. They are delays with consequences attached. 21 hours of talks that changed nothing on paper, and possibly everything beneath the surface. History tells us this. The negotiations that fail publicly are often the ones that quietly succeed 6 months later. Back channels do not close because press conferences end. Diplomats do not stop talking because cameras stop rolling. The real story of Islamabad is not the collapse. It is the conversation that now continues in silence. Was this a failure, or was it the first sentence of something the world hasn't read yet? Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you believe a real Iran-US nuclear deal is still possible? Or has that door closed for good? If you want more untold stories like this, subscribe, because history is never what they teach you in school.